Frohe Albrechtstag. Happy Jacob Albright Day. As you hopefully remember, Jacob Albright was born on May 1st. But Jacob was not the founder of Albright College. That honor belongs more to Wilhelm Wagner Orwig, who was called Billy Orwig by many of his contemporaries. Orwig can be called the first president of Albright College, although the reality is a bit more complicated. Albright College traces its lineage back to Union Seminary, which was founded in 1856 in New Berlin, Pennsylvania. Billy Orwig was the first president of this institution, and in that sense, he can be called the first president of Albright College. Don't let the name seminary confuse you. This was not a school for the training of clergymen. In the 19th century, seminary meant something akin to high school or the first years of college. A seminary came after primary school and was an alternative to entering the world of work aged 14. Some students might go on to university after seminary, but that was not a given. Many, even most, students would join the workforce after seminary. Now, we might think that the founding of Union Seminary was a great achievement for the Evangelische Gemeinschaft, and it was, but it was also very contentious. We have to remember that Jacob Albright himself stopped education at about 14 years of age. More advanced learning was associated with Lutheran ministers, and the Evangelical Association, as Albright's congregation became known in English, found Lutheran ministers to be more interested in fine food than in preaching the gospel message. I'm sure that's changed now. Albright's people recognize that holiness comes from God, not from a textbook. Joseph Lang explained the planned school in the pages of Der Christliche Botschafter. I'll translate the passage we see here. It must be understood by all of you that the planned school shall be a seminary or educational institution for our youth, which will include training in craftsmanship, and not a school of theology. It shall be a school for education in all the useful disciplines which people need for this present life, and which shall take into consideration both the pupil's physical and mental well-being. The readers were apparently convinced by these arguments, and voted to approve the formation of a school in 1848, although it took until 1856 to make the proper arrangements. The school opened, strangely, in January, and Orwig served as president and professor for 3 years, until he was elected bishop. Strangely, in his short autobiography, Orwig does not even mention this time of service as college president. I think Orwig doesn't mention the college because he viewed himself mostly as a bookman in many different senses of the term. He was the author of several monographs, 2 of which are available in the Albright College archives. His work includes practical advice to clergymen, theological controversies, and a magisterial history of the Evangelical Association. He always preferred to write in German. His first language, like that of most early members of the Evangelische Gemeinschaft, was Pennsylvania Dutch. Orwig did, however, translate his 2-volume church history into English for the sake of the growing English-speaking membership. Orwig was also a journalist. He served for many years as the editor and chief content creator for Der Christliche Botschafter, the earliest German-language church periodical in America. The newspaper served both as a way of disseminating the Methodist message among Pennsylvania Germans and of discussing and debating controversial church issues, such as the founding of Union Seminary. It also contained literary columns, advice for parents, and a column aimed at children. It had something for everybody. Orwig also had musical talent and composed many hymns. Enthusiastic singing characterized Evangelical Association worship services, and one of Orwig's hymns, Komm Geist vom Thron herab, became a standard song at the outdoor camp meeting revivals. I've asked my son to sing the first verse for us.
Geist vom Thron herab, auch Gottes Weh uns an, die matten Herzen heut allein, dass man dich preisen kann.
Thanks, Owen. Perhaps Orwig's most romantic occupation was circuit rider. In the early days of the Evangelische Gemeinschaft, the congregations were scattered far and wide, and preachers were scarce. So the ministers traveled continuously on horseback from one congregation to the other. Orwig was called to preaching at the extremely young age of 15, and by 17 years old was given a circuit. Here is how he describes it in his biography, my translation. I myself thought I was too young, and so did some of the congregations that I was supposed to serve, as they told me themselves later on. And these people threatened to send me home when they heard I was to be stationed there. The circuit numbered nearly 30 stations, and the whole year through I needed to preach almost daily and to make frequent long journeys. Moreover, after the preaching, I often had to counsel penitents, hold classes or other exercises, all the way up to midnight. People who weren't strong and tough would usually collapse under this load. I myself almost reached that point in my first year as preacher, due to my lack of experience and planning, and because of the very strenuous workload. The old enemy of souls also seemed to send the entire might of darkness against me once more, in order to make contentious my calling to the office of preacher. It was sometimes a close call, but the Lord helped gain the victory. May his name be praised. The struggle about this lasted into the first few months of my second year as preacher, and then he stopped, and has never returned up till this day. My second and third years were very happy and blessed years in my office. My field of labor was the Lebanon circuit, which stretched over portions of Lebanon, Lancaster, Berks, Lehigh, and Bucks counties in Pennsylvania. From Orwig's description of his circuit, it's at least possible that he preached near the present location of Albright College in Berks County. What was Orwig like when he served as president and teacher at Union Seminary? No account survived to my knowledge, but we do at least know what his ideal teacher was like, because he describes these ideals in one of his published sermons called Christ, the Great Teacher. I'll translate the section we see here. Christ, the teacher, is not hard and brusque with his students, as is the case with many who hold the position of teacher, and who discourage and actually hinder their pupils instead of being helpful. Christ himself says, I am gentle and humble of heart. He is patient with those who struggle to learn, as long as he sees that they are honestly doing what they can. That's not a bad example for us faculty here at Albright in the 21st century, especially in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. I hope you've enjoyed our look back at Albright College history, and I hope you've learned a little something too. Don't forget to wish someone a Frohe Albrechtsdag.